morning. How y'all doing? This is my first time trying to do a live. Now, I'm going to be honest. I may not be able to respond to you guys in the comments because I have no idea what I'm doing. I am getting a little bit of help right now, but they're not going to always be here to help me out. So I'm trying my best to do what I can. It is a pleasure to try to come on here and talk live. I don't know why I'm feeling so nervous because I'm usually a clown. I like to have fun and I try to keep it real as possible. So what I do is I try to accept myself fully no matter what that is. I you guys, I don't want you to feel uncomfortable. And for the ones that don't know, there's a lot of questions that I am not going to be able to answer because of the fact that I have been off the grid for a while. I have something going on in my personal life and at one of my jobs, no fault of my own, that is under court proceedings. So I have to be careful of what I do, my location and all that type of stuff like that. I am not a victim. I am a victor. And job-wise, that's more of the profession that I'm in, that this happens quite a bit, but it can get messy if you start running into people that you had to do business with. It gets scary. And then personal, that's something personal in my life that happened. And it's, just pretty much something that I am dealing with. And, I just kind of changed my life around, not just because of that, but I just felt that I needed to get somewhere and do what I need to do because of the fact that I am, trying to get right and deal with my salvation and live my life and accept a lot of things that has changed with me as far as my health and other issues that's going on. Because normally I was working one solid job, and that could be anywhere from 8 to 12 hours at times. Also, the other job, you know what it is too, is a lot of times when you work with the public, like I give you guys, for example, you could be a cashier. And this has happened to me doing cashier work. A person, trying to pull out a coupon, and you tell them that the coupon has expired and they want to flip out on you. Okay, I'm using that for example. Also, I'd like to say is like with my stuff, it's real serious because of the fact that I have to remove folks, family members, when something go down. And then you just imagine if you just say if you was a police officer and you arrested somebody, and then you're out at a restaurant having dinner with your family, and that person that you had to arrest is in the restaurant and they come towards you with a problem. So that's one of the things that happened to me as far as personal with work. But then with my personal life, there's some folks that just don't know how to move on. And I'm sure y'all can understand where I'm coming from when I say stuff like that, when things end and it don't work out the right way, and then you got third party people trying to interfere. But that is mostly the reason why I cannot come on camera, and I hate that I can't do that. But like I said before, I'm not a victim. I'm claiming my victory, but I'm being smart and I'm letting God guide me on the right way to live my life. And so far it's been working for me. And I love all of you guys. I just feel like crying right now because I haven't been able to reach out the way I'd like to with all the wonderful people, because I love who I am and I'm a child of God and I'm working on my salvation. But you guys have changed my life. And the reason why I started doing this YouTube is because I love people. And I am from a mixed family, but I like to talk to people around the world to make friends and learn their cultures and their style. And I also like to share my life. And I do a whole lot more than I even show on camera. And the reason why I can't show it all is because I got a lot of medical stuff going on with me right now, and I got some dexterity issues. So I do my best with what I can, and I try to break it down because it's kind of hard, because people are kind of like, they like to be able to see you, which I understand that too. But, and I'm not putting myself next to God, but I like to explain this, to use it for example. We know that you cannot just view God with the naked eye, and you believe. When you believe in somebody, you know that you know. And that's pretty much how I have to look at this. If you guys accept me for who I am and understand what I'm dealing with, then you can ride with me. And for those that don't want to ride with me and don't understand, I still care about you and I respect you. But I am learning a lot every day. And as they say, you never get too old to learn something new. And you're going to always meet somebody that knows something that you don't know. And that's one of my reasons, too, why I want to reach out to the world. I have a beautiful family. I have been blessed with that. And even though I got a lot of medical issues, and I'm talking about some serious stuff, you guys, I've been through issues from like when I was 2 months old. And I, I almost didn't make it. I had to be revived twice. And then I had to live a different lifestyle than probably what I was born to live because of the fact that I had issues. And I have made my way around all of that stuff. And I just feel like with this life, we all have to really truly understand that it does not come with guarantees. I could be like right now, I'm sitting here talking to you guys, and if I'm not meant to make it the next 5 minutes, I want to go down whatever way it is, knowing that I have had something. And I always do it where I don't like to look at how far I got to go, how far have I came. What am I doing? Who am I? Have I helped anybody? Do I care? Not just, oh, I put my kids through college. Oh, I give dues to my church. What have you done for people that you don't even know? Have you held the door open for a stranger? Have you told somebody that they were attractive, beautiful, and not in a way to trying to flirt or hit on anybody? What have you done? Can you take a walk around the block? Do you always have to jump in your car? And that's another thing too. I've been off the grid for a long time. I'm going back probably like maybe 2014, I've been off the grid. Half the people that I know, and this happened before the issues occurred with my job and in my personal life. I decided that I wanted to do something different, and I noticed like with certain people, when you say that you're trying to travel with God, a lot of them don't want to hear that because they want you to be able to do what you used to do or do stuff that you don't think is right, but they think you're judging them because you're not interested in doing it, which I don't think is proper because of the fact that everybody has a right to be who they want to be. And you have to accept that. It don't care if you're yellow, purple, green, your sexuality, if you're rich, poor, broke, it doesn't matter. And see, all of this stuff, a lot of people don't understand that morals and values begin at home. And I know a lot of us may not have good parents or have had good parents, but I feel like, I'll just say, for instance, if I held a baby that was about 6 months old, I'll just say her name is Jane, the little girl, and I'm holding the little girl, and she started pulling on my necklace or pulling at my earrings. What do I say? No, baby, don't do that. Stop. Don't touch auntie or whoever earring. Don't do that. And then when the child started walking, then you got to make the house safe for them because they're going to go up on the end table and knock everything over. So that's where you start saying no, please, and thank you. Even if you have a child that starts preschool at 3 years old, the morals and values begin at home. Your kids have to be taught that from you. And then the school, whatever they apply, then that makes it even better. But a lot of folks don't understand that you have to do it from home. So with me, and no disrespect to anybody, because I keep it real as best I can, I kind of self-raised, I would say, by God. And then, of course, me being obedient to God. But I didn't come from a lot of that, like different stuff as me being a female. I had to teach my own self how to cook. Now, I'm not going to lie, I watched family cook and stuff, but I had to learn myself to wash clothes when it was that time for a woman. You know what I'm talking about, that happens to our bodies. I had to learn that myself because I didn't have the right people. And then what I've learned, too, as I got older is that you don't necessarily want to judge your parents or your family for what they did or didn't give you, because a lot of times, like I say, I got a lot of folks that have families that have addiction. Mom and dad were on something, or dad was abusive, or whatever it may be. And half of those people are suffering and got problems too. And once you understand, and it is hard to forgive, but I feel that forgiveness is a two-way thing. I don't think that forgiveness is just for the person that you're forgiving, but when you forgive somebody, they feel good about it, but then you feel good that you let that off because you're living in that. And we don't want to go back to the past. I mean, there's a lot of good things that happen in your past that you want to bring to the future, but at the same time, we need to keep moving forward. And with me, I have learned, because I've been hard-headed back in the past with being out there, then somebody know where your location is, and a lot of moving, packing up, moving for safety. And sometimes you don't even really know people that you think you know. And you sit back and you chilling with folks, and the devil will use people to hurt you. And I have been through a lot of that. Also, sometimes we want people to be what we want them to be for us, and then that puts blinders on us, and we're not able to really see the true character. And I've learned a lot about that too, and I may make the same mistake. And see, people don't understand that folks are quick to judge. I'm gonna give you an example. There was I remember one day we went to a drugstore, and at that drugstore there was a bar across the street from that drugstore, and there was a lady that is she was the first lady of a church, and she was going into that bar. And the people that I was around was talking about this one. Look at her. She called herself, a pastor in the church, and she's running into the bar. And to be honest with you, She wasn't even going in the bar like that. Now I'm gonna be honest, they were serving alcohol, but they rented that out, and that was for a bridal shower. Just because she's a Christian person, that doesn't mean that she's drinking just because alcohol was there. We just all have to be careful and stop judging people and just, just live and enjoy life, because it's not guaranteed. People are dying left and right, and we are born to die. That's why they say God will give you beauty for your ashes. It's just like our bodies. When we die, we worry about more of the spirit than the actual physical body. And it took me a long time to understand that, because you think this person is in a box and they're under the ground. They're not there anymore. That's what we got to understand. It's the soul that rises above that. It's just like when you buy a gallon of milk. You get rid of it once the contents is gone. That's the same thing with the body. When you are here in the flesh, you got your flesh, but when it's over with, your spirit rises on and your body goes back. And they said God will give you beauty for your ashes. So I will say that everybody's beautiful. Everybody's beautiful. And then I think we have a lot of choices in the world that can make us look bad, because we do not know how to tame the flesh. People don't understand the Trinity, the three, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. And when you don't understand that, you don't get it. And if God don't give you what you want, you don't get it. And that's not how it works. We are just so lucky. And I look at no matter how many things, because I'm going through a lot of stuff that I didn't even know that was going to happen to me. And I've gotten mad at myself. I've left doctor's appointments with some diagnoses that I was hoping wouldn't be. And I've had things in my life as an adult that could have killed me. I've had treatments that I was supposed to get that I questioned if I even wanted to be here anymore, to even bother go through the treatment. And then I kept saying, well, what are you here for then? If you're not going to fight, if you don't have the will, why are you here? And, then I look, then I get over here, you cry for a minute, you get mad, you don't want to see nobody. And then you got to find a way to lift yourself up. And that's when you go to God. And people don't understand. A lot of times when we have problems, sometimes you don't go and ask mama, your husband, your aunt, your sister. Sometimes we just take it to God. Anything you need to know is in the Bible. And I have a family member that has a young friend that's in his 20s, and he said that he's atheist. And he doesn't have a reason to me that he shouldn't believe in God, but I have to respect that's how he is. And when I talked with him, I just basically said to him, I said, well, do you like to read a good book? He said, yeah. I said, do you love your family? You got cats, you love your cats, right? So where do you think the goodness is coming from? Just because you cannot see God, that's not how it's supposed to work. You're supposed to know that you know. And what you need to do is just take time and just read the Bible. And you got to know what you're reading too, because there's a lot of testaments, old and the new. Also, when you go to the church, folks need to know that the pastor is not God. Just like a surgeon, God has put it in them to be able to operate, to take care of you, to preach the word. But you have to have a relationship with God yourself. You can't say, oh, well, my mother went to church and my grandma and they preached to me and that's how I know. No. You could be born a Siamese twin and you still have your own soul. So with that being said, I got so much stuff that I want to do here on YouTube. And, I work, like I said, I work 2 jobs, and it was 1 job, and that was 8 to 12 hours. And due to medical, I wasn't able to, perform what I normally do. And it's a lot of stuff with dexterity and physical issues. So I had to figure out how to bring in the same amount of money, keep a decent insurance, and keep it moving. And I had to bring myself down in my position as well, but make good money. But one thing about one of my jobs with the position that I had to come down on, I realized the way I was up, I didn't even have to do all the extra training and stuff, because folks was doing less than me and making the same amount of money. So that was a plus. But at the same time, long as you have, people don't understand that folks is out here. And I'm going to tell you, I don't walk down the street with cows and goats. I remember building an outhouse, helping build an outhouse as a child. I remember when I was little, we had went, down south, and this is from some American family to visit, and there was a hog, and we were there when the hog was born. So when the hog got big, we looked at the hog as if we would love our dog or cat, and the family member shot the hog right in front of us, because that was for supper. And we didn't comprehend that, because we had got brought up into the States in the city. So we were like hurt when we seen that, but we learned. And back then they farmed and they did all of their stuff. And even with them, they had, when they had a death in the family, which was an infant, they buried the infant in their backyard in their own property. See, a lot of people don't understand the government and stuff when it comes to different states. But a lot of that stuff affected me in the wrong way because I wasn't pre-prepped for it, because I was taken around for a while, then I was brought back and I didn't get that training. But I tell you what, once I understood and I was able, we started to be able to like spend summers. I learned so much stuff that's old school. I can wash clothes by hand just as good as a washing machine. I mean, I got some medical issues now with my dexterity, but I can do it. I know how to plant and grow stuff. And I remember when we had a tornado, and I remember folks is running around here, and you got to pack up for stuff like that. People are running around getting curling irons and shavers, and I'm looking at them. Do you know? Is you on medication? Do you got your birth certificate? Do you got stuff in plastic bags? Because I'm an old soul from the old school, and see, the stuff that scared me because I didn't know. That made me just a whole new person, and I've always liked to be around older people. And I'm another type of person too that like to be around people that are, that are touched, that got problems, that got issue. There's a guy that was in the dentist. As soon as I got in the dentist, I signed my name, and they told me don't sit next to him. And I didn't know exactly what they meant, so I didn't go right up on the person. And then, as I sat down a couple of seats over from him, they kept saying, yeah, he gonna get out of here. Yeah, he keep coming in here, hanging in here every day. They never asked the guy what he need, do he need some help or anything. And I'm gonna tell you, and I said to them, I said, why are y'all talking about the guy like that? You know what I mean? And I said, sir, what's your name? This man started talking to me, and he had more sense than all of us put together in there. This man had been through it, used to be a doctor. Just something happened to him in his life, and he fell down. That's why I said you don't never step on nobody, because you don't know what their troubles are or the reason for what they're going through. And when I sat there with that made me, even more humble. And I'd like to get all the way down past humble. I'm able to accept great humility because God has saved a wretch like me. And when I say that, and when I say about forgiveness and mercy, I don't necessarily mean just because I done something bad, because I have done bad things in life. But do you really understand that you respect too much out of people, and we're so quick to judge? Now, we know when somebody is clowning around in some cases, and most of the time, when you get down to the nitty gritty of a lot of stuff, especially when you think about the psychopathy and the psychological mind of people, there's still something wrong. And then they have some people they say that are pure evil. But when you break it down, there's something more to it than that. And a lot of times that's up to God to decide what's going to happen with them people. Then there's also stuff where, the judges, the court system come into play. But we all have to remember that we're all human. Stuff happens for a reason. And we got to ride this ride till the wheel falls off. Because that's how I feel. I feel that I'm just lucky every day. And I always try to see something good. Even with me living in countries where we didn't have water for days. We washing clothes by hand. I remember when I used to go to family's house, they didn't even have a TV. They finally got a radio. So we all used to sit in the room and listen to the radio and get the news. But at those times, it was a lot better than some of the modern technology we got. I'm not gonna lie, I like a lot of the modern technology, but we had more morals and values and connection as a family. Like a lot of times, like with kids, folks are putting kids right in front of the TV. I don't care how old they are, putting them right in front of the TV. And some of that stuff is educational, and it's fun to be able to have a cartoon here and there. Get them up in the kitchen. I remember when I was a little girl in Jamaica, I was on a stool learning how to make dumplings. I don't know what I was, like 3 years old, 4 years old, and honey, let me tell you, I mastered the craft because I was able to be interested. Like I watched a little bit of TV, but I kept trying to, not be in grown folks' business, but I wanted to learn. And when you get those values like that and you go up to the states, the city, don't never forget where you came from. That's the problem with everybody. They get so caught up and worried about stuff. Just like when people have family reunions, or either when they have, like they're going back to a reunion from the high school. Folks is running around, females is squeezing into girdles just to fool somebody because you are embarrassed of yourself, and you shouldn't be. People are guys, they're going to get a fancy car. You rent to get that rental car so you can pull up at the reunion and show off that you're driving a Mercedes. But the money you put down on that causes you to get your lights turned off. You see, we're worried about impressing people instead of doing what we're supposed to be doing, being a steward of God and minding our own business in a lot of cases too, because I noticed that with people. People like to be up in folks' business, the gossip. And that's the whole problem. And just like in a lot of this stuff too, like when I be saying these cliches, when I start my videos, I'm gonna keep it 100% real. A lot of this stuff is coming from reading the Bible. A lot of this stuff is coming from pastors, but also I have some sense and brains too. And I put together my stuff. And one of these days, I'm gonna hold up a picture. I mean, not a picture, my notebook, and show y'all how quick when something comes to my mind, I run to my book and write it down. And then I said, well, the next time I talk, I'm going to say this, and I just say it right off the bat because I meditate in the word. Even if it's just simple stuff, hold the door open for somebody. You know, when people look at you and you hold the door open for them, some people don't care and they may walk right by, but you know the intentions. You know what the intentions is. I was coming out of the Family Dollar, and I had quite a few bags in my hand, and there was an older lady coming with her little pull carriage. And I decided to walk back and hold the door for her. And she was so grateful. Even if she didn't care, I just wanted to do something. And that's how I do. I get together with some family, and we'll go out to different cities, not too far from where we live at, 2 or 3 hours away, and get a U-Haul truck, buy a whole bunch of food for our families, and then we get stuff that we can donate to shelters. And we've been lucky enough because we've been able to find places that we can donate non-perishable items and then perishable items. So what they call it is they call it wet foods. You can bring steak, potatoes, you can bring coloring books, toys for kids. And one thing that's hard out here is that I noticed that there's not a lot of help out here for men. They got, women's battered shelters and this shelter and that shelter for women, but a lot of time people don't help out men. And what I do is just like I got one guy that I see him standing out all the time. So what I do is I always try to make sure when I leave the house, I bring a bunch of cash with me. I'm not showing off or bragging. I'm just saying, make sure I got some ones. I don't care if it's 10 ones. Give everybody $1, somebody something just to help somebody out. And I got one nice guy that I met, one of them, and me and him talked in the Dollar Tree parking lot. And I promise you, I enjoyed him just as much as I did Sister Mary or the first lady at the church that was legitimately a Christian. I enjoyed him just as well. And I talked to him about what he was going through and what happened. I didn't go up on him like, why are you out here in the streets? What happened? Your family turned you back? I talked to him regular. And I said, do you mind me giving you a couple of dollars? Because I know what struggle is. And he was shocked that I even paid him attention. And I've been looking for him. And what happened is I asked him the last time I seen him, I said, well, do you have a coat? And he said no. So I wanted to ask him, but we were in traffic because, they stand out there and, ask for money out there. And I said, dang, I didn't ask him what size coat. So when I see him again, I'm going to, ask him and go get the coat and bring it right back and ask him how long he going to be out here. And I ended up not seeing him for quite a while. But what happened was I went by that spot again, and there was people that were collecting money for a funeral. So the money that I would have gave him or bought the coat with, I gave it for that funeral, but I still have some money put up when I see him again. Also, I'd like to do is get together what I call care packages. The care packages that I put together is if you have to live outside. If you're living outside, a bottle of water, toothpaste, and a toothbrush. You can rinse your mouth out if you have to do that. A lot of folks go into public bathrooms and get themselves together. So that's pretty much one of the things that I do. And like I said, I got this place, this guy, well, he's closed down now, but I found another spot. He allows you to bring, what they got is a big freezer. And there's a certain day that you can bring anything like far as meat. It don't have to be canned goods or box stuff. You can bring meats. So I always try to make sure I get there to bring meats. And when I shop, anything that I give for care packages, whether it be giving it to the Salvation Army, Red Cross, any of them places like that, even with my neighbors, I buy all the same exact food for myself. And what I try not to do is I try not to give them too much stuff that say marked down or look like it's expiring, because of the simple fact that I don't want them to feel that I'm giving them some throwaway because I look at them that way, because that's not what it is. Then I had, one guy that I helped out, and he got kind of wild with me one day. I didn't even see him, and he came up on me, giving me money. Where's the money at? And I told him, I said, can you back up for a minute? And I said, you don't have to approach me like that. What if I told you I didn't have it today and I want to ask you for it now? Just think about it. And guess what he did? Even though this is one guy, this one guy, he pulled out to give me the little bit of money he collected. And then I had another one that got a little wild with me, and I had to, because I don't let people have me all turned up. I just told him, I said, listen, I'm going to ask you nicely to move out of my space, and I'll see you another time when you are feeling better. And I got away from that. But I got a few people that hang out in a certain area, and I don't go just running all up to anybody's face and all that kind of stuff. I always have somebody with me. I always keep a distance between us, and I'm also licensed to carry. But obviously, I'm not gonna go there like that because that's work related. But I'm just saying, I always make sure that I'm looking out for the next person. I don't care what it is. I don't care what you can give or can't give. It could be a kind word because everybody's always looking for something. What about what you say? Because they always say that people may not remember what you said, but they will remember how you made them feel. And with that, I feel like that's a good thing because that's something that gets inside the spirit. And we all know that we live in the flesh. A lot of flesh, of all kinds of fleshly wants and do's and dabs. And I realize too, when you start off in life, obviously you're supposed to be eager and want to accomplish your goal. You want a car, you want a house. Some people want to get married. Some people want this type of career. And all of that is good stuff. But after you start getting in the age, you start wanting to get rid of stuff. And I don't know what it is, but some of the stuff seems claustrophobic now. Like, I don't need this. Why do I got so many pictures on the wall over here? That type of thing. And then I want you guys to know too, I do have a beautiful family. I think I've already said that, but I'm also a plant mom. And I'm going to be honest, I love pets. I mean, any kind. From when I was a child, we used to be in the country, Jamaica, Puerto Rico, Brownstown. You understand what I'm saying? Down south, Fort Valley, Georgia, because I'm from a mixed race of family, and I don't say that just, oh, my uncle married, a Jamaican lady. No, in my blood, an Indian, for real, Cherokee Indian grandmother. So with that being said, I just like to, have a little bit of this and that. And I like to cook a lot of different foods. And I don't share all of the stuff, but I got quite a few old videos that I got of me cooking some Jamaican food, some Spanish food. Yo hablo poquito español también. So I do a little bit of some of this and that, but it's crafted. It's not like just saying, oh, I hung around them because, they was my Vietnamese neighbors and stuff like that. No, they were family, they were friends, they blood, and I learned their ways and they learned mine. This life here, y'all, is something else, I'm telling you. And I noticed that folks, and even myself, we are quick to get mad at God when we don't get what we want. I remember when I had got told something at a doctor's appointment, I was pre. And I, did what I was supposed to do and, thought I would be good. And then when I went to the next appointment, it ended up happening. Because I was sitting there and I was so mad at myself because I know I did the right thing. And I'm like, well, why? And I didn't say why me because it ain't about that. You cannot worry about oneself because if it ain't you, it's going to be somebody else. That ain't fair. So I just always say why me. And of course, I'm not the only one. But I realized when I left out from the appointment, I cried and got mad at myself. And I kept saying, a part of me just kept saying, what are you getting upset for? That this is what it is, and you just got to deal with it. At least you're lucky you got insurance, and everything is not ruined in your day. Even when I got some devastating news that if I wouldn't have took the treatment, I would have died. And I kept saying, why am I feeling like this? I'm all right. The whole day is not over. I still got a healthy family. I still got a job. I still got somewhere to live. I got running water. And most of all, I am a child of God, King of Kings, Lord of Lords. And whatever is going to happen to me, He will carry me through. Footprints in the sand of time. That's just something that just blows me away. No matter how many times I read it, and I got it sticking up right here right now. It's so old, but I will keep it forever. It's just that you got to realize that there's something greater than your wants. And then we also have wants, need, and greed. We have to know whenever we're making any decision in our life, which one of them to use. And I always look at it like this. You got the devil on one shoulder, you in the middle, and God on the other shoulder, or angel. And you have to make that decision. Now you're going out here and say, well, you know what? I'm going to get me a new car. Your finances, the devil telling you, yeah, get it. You in the middle, like, yeah, I do want it. And then you got God, you can't afford that right now. You can't afford that. So you choose to listen and hear whatever you want to hear. So with that, I'm like, wait, you know what? Think about it. Don't make rash decisions. Don't even make choices when you're upset because that is like the worst time. And once again, the devil will use people to hurt you, y'all. It could be your own kids. I was in a live earlier, and we were talking, and they were talking about some issues with youth and homelessness and that type of stuff like that, and helping out people that are out here on the streets and helping out family. And one person said, which I understand is the right decision to make if that works for them, is that if they had a family member, which would be one of their kids, they would take them in. And see, me, I only go so far with that too, because sometimes you have to understand that when you have people, especially if you have family members that's violent, that's on drugs, they don't need you to coddle them. Sometimes you got to come up with that tough love, and you got to give them an ultimatum, even if they're psychologically not capable. I can't make the choice right now. You don't bring them in your house. After a while, you start seeing, hey, what's going on here? You either want the help or you don't, and then you have to learn how to let it go. And that's a hard thing to do. And there's no exemption from, like, far as my kids, any of them exempt, or any family like that. I can't do it. I have to treat everybody the same way. If you want the help, I got you. We had a cousin. Now, me and the cousin, we lived together, and her sister had got herself on drugs. I mean, horribly bad. I mean, the worst level that you could go. She lost her kids, she lost everything, and she was out there in the streets. We let her come stay with us, and I'm gonna tell you, it was a nightmare. She came there and she brought all those kind of people to our house when we were, sleep. She stole from us, and then the brother started getting high with her, and he started coming in the house because he was living upstairs, which was my uncle's house, stealing the stuff out the freezer. So what do you say? Because that's my sister, my son or daughter, I'm gonna let them just keep doing this? I can't help them if I'm gonna let them continue to do what they're doing. So when it comes to that, you got to know what to do in your heart, because a lot of times we enable people by our love and our thinking of, oh, I want them to do this and it's gonna work out because I said. But once you learn that they're not willing to do anything about it, sometimes you got to cut it loose. And it's hard to do that, but I have done that. I have, even with me, how I live now, I have had to cut off family. I'm not talking about just somebody by, I'm not saying that somebody by marriage is not important, it's blood, but I'm just saying, I'm talking about aunts and deep family that I grew with. I had to let them go because they were doing something that and it's not that I'm judging them, but they was doing me wrong. And I knew that I could not hear God because I was blocked by so much negativity that I couldn't even see straight. And one thing about me that I learned too is that what changed for me a lot is that I realized and I understood, and now I have a relationship with God. And before, I didn't have a relationship the way I should have. And then I learned my self-worth. Your self-worth, oh my gosh, that is so many different facets to that I don't even know how to even go into it as deep as I like to right now at this time. But I know that when you don't know your self-worth, a lot of folks take advantage of that because they know that about you, or you present yourself that way. And I had to get myself together, and we had to let the cousin go that I was talking about with the drugs. We had to let her go, and she did that. She continued that, and then she finally had another child, got herself together, but she still was sneaking around and doing her own ways. But she got us real good, and we just had to cut her off, and then we had to cut the brother off, because he was doing the same thing. And then a lot of people, when you're out in the streets, the grocery store or whatever, well, why did you put Margaret out? Why did y'all tell Fred that he had to leave? And I'm just making up names. This is not their real name. And obviously, you guys know that Rruk Of All is not my actual name. Obviously, it's not. But that's how I had to have a name to come on here. But I picked Rruk Of All because I am a steward of God. So I look at Rruk Of All as a person that is trying to build their salvation and accomplish what they need to accomplish to make it to heaven, because I want to meet the King. I have family that I want to see again. I want to live in paradise. And I know that I deserve it. And for a long time, I didn't know that. I've been in a lot of stuff where I've had to run away from home. And it wasn't running from home for behavior. It's what was happening inside the home that had me going, that try to find some way, somewhere to go to get away from that. And that landed me into a lot of problems, trying to find somewhere to stay for the night and that type of thing like that. And a lot of this stuff started affecting me worse when I started getting older in high school. And, what I did was I sat back with a lot of that stuff, and I looked at it and I said to myself, who do you blame for a lot of stuff that went wrong in your life? And I honestly could not blame family, because they just didn't have it. That's the thing that I'm trying to really get at. It's just, they just didn't have it. And it's hard, too, to understand that, too. And it was hard for me, because when you're in the family and you got siblings and you're one that's being treated different than everybody else, you start, well, if they didn't have it together, why aren't all of us going without? Why aren't all of us being abused, or whatever the case may be? And the thing is, sometimes, unfortunately, the parents that you get, sometimes they were just a portal for you to come here, and you have to rely on God as your father. But see, I wasn't raised up properly about the church stuff. Some family members would say a few things, and you wouldn't understand it. I didn't understand it. And then what I started doing was, and I'm gonna tell you something, a real serious, true story. Back when I was a little girl, I feel like crying talking about it because it was something that I don't even know how to explain. I'm gonna try my best to say it. It was a lady that lived, and we lived in the first time ever, I think we lived in a building, apartment building. And the lady used to go to church. She had made friends with my mother, and she used to go to church. And she had 4 daughters and her husband. And she started bringing me to church with her. And I used to sit there, and I didn't understand. But what they used to do is they used to get down on their knees, and pray. And they start tarrying like the Holy Ghost, Father, Jesus, Jesus. And, saliva would be coming all out their mouth. And I'm going to tell you, I think I was about probably, I don't know, maybe 7 to 8 years old. I started trying to copy what they were doing because I thought that's what I was supposed to do. But listen to me. Ooh, something touched me. I was trying to pretend, but something touched me. And I promise you, in the name of Jesus, I have never felt that good before in my life. Not even giving birth to a child for the first time, getting married, buying my first house. Nothing has ever touched me like that. And I know it was God. And I seek him. I'm here for him. I love him. I live for him. And that's something that I got at a young age. And it carried me so far that I still, though, at that time when that happened, I still couldn't take that no further because the lady that I used to go to church with, she had started getting real sick and having problems and a lot of amputations, and I had to go back home. And people don't realize that home, you're programmed to a certain extent with certain things. I mean, there's some kids that you may have that you be trying to put something on them and they just don't do. They just don't do, but you get programmed. And a lot of stuff that I had was against what I've heard in church. So I didn't know at that time, being young, because when people don't understand the psychopathy and the psychology of the mind, you don't develop your frontal lobe and everything just because you're 19. It takes a long time. You get in your 20s. And I wasn't around anybody that taught me anything. So I just kept going with whatever. And when I came up, the kids were bad. And I'm going way back. The kids were doing a lot of bad stuff. And I noticed when all of this was going on, with a lot of us, we were from certain type of houses where you weren't watched. Nobody cared what you did. People are humping, touching each other. And I'm going to say this without, I'm going to humble myself down with great humility, with the honest truth. It was a mess because me and my brother, we weren't from that. This is my one sibling. After I got more than one. And we weren't from that. So when we moved, and this really started with meeting other kids, no adult supervision at all. And they were doing stuff that I don't know if they were molested or, and I pray to God that that's not what happened. But it wasn't like the stuff like people say, oh, you experiment kids, no. Because of the way I was raised, you don't get, once we got a certain age, you don't get in the bathtub with the brother no more. No. We don't do that no more. You don't walk around with see-through nightgowns on in the house and that type of stuff. But when we got around these kids, they were doing all that kind of stuff, and we just was letting them do anything they wanted to us. And I remember one time I had 2 boys that were trying to be fresh to me at one time, and we didn't know we was skipping school. How are you able to skip school and you in the 3rd and 4th grade? Where's your parents at? See, that type of stuff like that. And once again, I try not to look at my family to blame anybody, because it seemed like some of these folks are really just don't care, and then some folks just ain't got it in them. But we were able to do anything we wanted to do. Stuff that I learned, it made me disgusted with myself that I allowed somebody to do stuff like that to me, or that we behaved that way. We used to run around and do whatever we want with sneaking cigarettes and all that. I'm talking about young. I'm not talking about 13, 14, and you got your cycle already and blah, blah. None of that. This was stuff back when we were little kids, 2nd, 3rd grade, all out here just doing what you want. Nobody didn't call you in. It's dinner time. Did you take a bath? Let me comb your hair. We just, and no disrespect. I'm not even like trying to disrespect any family members, or if anybody ever run across this video, which they don't know me. And that's what I keep saying about a lot of folks that when, since I came back around, that You know, they try to run up on me, hey, Rruk, and obviously that's not my real name. And hey, how you doing? And keep walking. And they want to be involved in your life, but when you gave them that time of the day, they dogged you out. So with that being said, I just learned to humble myself and give myself more to God and my family. See, this is what I'm gonna tell y'all something else that a lot of people probably think is weird when I say this, but I did not know that even though I came from a lot of mess, that I had to have my family, my own family. I had to create the family, meaning being a parent and giving birth. My family, my children are my brothers, my sisters, my aunts, my uncle, my cousin. I did not understand what God was trying to tell me. He just said, hold on, this is a test, hold on. You're gonna make it, you're gonna be all right. And I had no idea, even from that little girl being touched like that in church to who I am now, I had no idea that it was coming. You just can't give up. You have to understand. You have to have a dream. You have to believe. You have to have a goal. I didn't know that. I have always been like alone. I have one of my brothers that me and him, you know, are very close because we were more closer in age than younger siblings, but he wasn't being treated the way I was being treated, so he always protected me and that type of stuff. But I didn't understand, and you know, and I lost him. So I didn't understand, where do I go? So I thought like people out in the streets was my friends and that type of stuff like that. And you know, having to sleep on somebody's couch. How the heck are you out here, you know, 13, 14, going to sleep on somebody's couch? Why ain't your parents looking for you? What the heck is going on here? See, all of that type of stuff, and as I got grown and, you know, having kids and stuff, it didn't make me, like, overprotective, but I know the conduct. I know because I learned it from the book. I learned it from the Word. I learned it from God instilling the values in me, what to pass down. So with that, I changed that cycle. I have family now that's in their 20s that are still virgin, still pure. And I'm not saying I forced anything on anybody to do. I just explained to them what life could throw at you, what your body means, what your virtue is, not just to female, to men as well. And then I feel like as the female, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm a ride or die tomboy to the hill, but I am a straight heterosexual person, even though that don't mean anything. I'm just saying. I can be pretty and pink, and then I can get out there and do an oil change. Girls take out the trash. Yes, we do. The girls take out the trash just like the boys. Anything that a woman needs to do for her body, I've taught the guys how to do it for a woman, because you got to look at it. Oh, we don't teach the guys about the menstrual cycle. Well, why not? What about if your wife, just say your wife, she had a baby, y'all child, and she had a C-section or a hard time, and she can't get in and out of bed. You wouldn't know how to change her down there? Why not? Why not? It ain't just, oh, I'm calling her mom and them over there to do that. No, why can't you do it? What if you have a handicapped child, boy or girl, and you have to change their diapers? They 30 and you got to change their diapers. You have to understand this. And another thing too, people look at folks that's some folks, they look at them in a wheelchair, oh, they messed up. Oh man, what's wrong with him? And you got to remember, you could have somebody that's born, just say Down syndrome, or you know, the developmental problems. You could go out there right now and get hit by a car, and the way your brain could become damaged, or even your physical body could become paralyzed, that emulates the same psychological mind as somebody with Down syndrome. You're not promised anything. You could be seeing today, blind tomorrow, or hearing today, deaf tomorrow. We're not better than anybody. You know, a lot of us don't even understand that less is more. When I look back at the days when we was out there all in the crops and all that type of stuff, when we used to go, like even when I went to Jamaica, you go up and you tell them, say, me want a piece of goat there, $2 worth. The whole goat is right there. They cut you off exactly what you say you can pay for. Walking down the street. Now you can go to the butcher, yeah, I'd like a pound of Land O'Lakes cheese, slice number 1, please. And that's good stuff, because we came further with technology, but at the same time, them old ways like that, the family was more connected. And I don't mean that everything that happens to you, you got to tell the whole family. You got to tell the whole church. I don't mean it like that. I'm just saying we were more closer because we had more quality time. Even with us, before I went off the grid the way I've done, and I've been off the grid, oh gosh, I don't even know, like 2012, 13, somewhere in there, I went off the grid. But before I did that, instead of jumping in the car all the time, take 2 or 3 buses to the mall. Take a walk. Stop jumping in the car for everything. I even bought me one of them carriages to walk to some stores that's in the neighborhood that's a good distance, just to see that, you got to crawl before you walk. Understand that you can do it. And them times that things seemed like it was so hard. I remember when we went to Jamaica, well, one of the times, and the water was off. I remember washing clothes by hand. So what do you do when you don't have no running water and you musty? Is that time in the month? You live, you survive. You learn what to do when it comes to stuff like that. That's why I always say you got to stay, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Because to me, pre-prepping and not going too crazy, because you can sit here and say, well, you know what? I done packed the refrigerator, so if something happened, I got all the food. Okay, well, guess what? Nothing didn't happen, but your refrigerator broke down. Or the power went out for 3 days. Now, all that food that you tried to cram in there because you went about it the wrong way. Instead of the need, greed, and wants, you went with greed. And now all of that meat and stuff is wasted. Yeah, you can run out and get a couple of coolers, but when stuff is out that long, and then other people gonna be buying the ice and all that type of stuff, you got to pay attention to what can you do without. What can you do without? Why do you have it? And when I started looking at those type of things like that, that started, once again, less is more. We spent more time together. We all used to sit in the living room, and even in Jamaica, they used to call it the front room. And we used to watch these videos by this guy, he's called Oliver. And we'd be sitting there with the one tiny little TV, black and white, and everybody packed in. And the TV goes off, and we have no lights. So what you gonna get up, do? Scream, cuss, holler, get mad? You already know. You chill. You chill, and you thank God that the TV was working when it did. You know that God is going to restore that. You know that the light will come. You might have to go on and go to bed because it'd be that pitch black up in the house. But you don't get mad and go crazy on every little thing. Because I noticed that in the States here, like coming from different countries, a lot of family has came here and they have lost their old school ways. I just recently, I say probably about maybe 4 or 5 months ago, I'd like to do a lot of crafting. So I bought this big mirror. It's probably not, I say about 4 feet tall. And I bought it, it was marked down from Salvation Army, but because it had a little chip on the end of it, I was gonna do some, some little crafting with it. And when I picked the mirror up, because of my dexterity issues, the mirror dropped. And it dropped on one of my foot and it split it down to the white meat, and I mean to the white meat. Now, I know, I got a lot of medical experience and I did what I could with it, but I said, you know what, you need to go to the emergency room. So I went to one emergency room, and we were at the emergency room for almost 12 hours. So I left and went to another one that was open, one of them pop-in ones, but a serious, real emergency room. And they put the stitches in. And, I started back on my life, and I could tell with this here that it's been permanently some nerve damage. I could tell how it is. But anyway, it just it seemed like it was, wasn't healing right. The bleeding had stopped. I didn't have any pus, but it just wasn't looking right. So I did an old remedy that I learned from back in the day with a potato. And do you know that I got that healed up within a week? After letting it go for 2 weeks, trying to do what the doctor said, oh, go back there, stitch it up again. Just an old school remedy. I use a potato. The potatoes that we cook, russet potato, whatever kind of potato, white potato, red potato. I use a potato and use that roux, and I just kept putting it on there. And before I knew it, it started recovering. It's just them type of things like that a lot of people don't take as nothing because they're so worried about, just like I had a friend, his brother, if he had one flat tire, he would buy 4 more tires. I mean, that's up to people's prerogative, how they want to live, how they want to spend money. But I'm just speaking about, my experience in life about not being too greedy for things and try to, love what you got and not look at how far you got to go, but how far you have came, and that there is a God and there is a reason. And anything could happen to us. And a lot of times people don't realize what's going to happen to them, but they act like nothing can happen. So they just continue on and do what they want to do and just ignore life. And that's not how it works. You have to wake up. You have to answer to somebody. You have to do something. You can't just get in life and just live it and have no consequences. And also what we don't realize is that every time you make a mistake, that's the way you hear from God. That's the way you hear from God. And a lot of times when you are dealing with people that are complicated, sometimes the things that they do wrong, if it's nothing that's destroying you, sometimes you have to accept it and appreciate and think about what's good about them. Because I got a lot of folks, I know some folks don't like some personality of their kids. And there's certain things that you have to understand. They ain't doing what they're supposed to do. And y'all know how it is when you, well, I ain't saying this happens to everybody's family, but you know how it is when you have family members, they use up too much toothpaste. They're cooking in there, using up all the butter, the oil, going through all the toilet paper. And you're like, well, what are you doing? And then you start realizing they just heavy-handed in that way. So then, you give them a stack of toilet paper just for themselves. So when they run out, hey, that's on you because you're using too much anyway. And, those are things that we can live with and deal with and be okay about it. But a lot of times folks don't seem to understand that you got to accept people for who they are. And I'm not saying just to let anybody dog you out or run over you or play you for a fool. But I'm going to tell you, we have to understand that there is somebody greater and there's a better plan for our life. I even thought about it like, when I had talked to the young man that was that said he was atheist, and I done met a lot of people that's atheists, and they don't even understand that, when they talk, I always say stuff like, well, just say if there wasn't a God, like in your area, what you're saying, what is it going to hurt to do what the Bible says? It's all good. It's all good. Even in the Bible about circumcision for men. That may seem to be crazy, but if you've ever dealt, and I've, dealt with plenty of babies and adult men, and I'm not saying in no relationship with me, but men that I have cared for in the type of work that I do that have never been circumcised, and that's a problem. It really is a problem for them. They have to, that's better to cut away that, but that was meant to be done for a reason. And a lot of folks just think that you can just make up anything as you go along and everybody else is going to fall into place. And it don't work like that. You have to give and take, give and take, give and take. And you also have to humble yourself. And sometimes you may be in a predicament where, because I have a lot of times where I've had people that came off on me wrong. And I'm going to be honest with you. I was in Walmart one day and I was in the aisle already, with my carriage, and I was reading, actually it was some hair dye. It's a hair dye that I buy now, and it's good. And I've been getting it all along. Y'all probably seen this, a Revlon that I use. I've dyed my hair with it, but I use it for a lot of units. I'm a natural girl. My natural hair, I wear it too, but I like wigs and things like that, and, weave and braids and all that stuff. But anyway, so the lady came down the aisle, and she was looking like she was trying to reach where my carriage was, because I was standing right next to the carriage. So I moved the carriage so that she could see if that's what she wanted. Well, you shouldn't have had it there anyway. She started getting real nasty with me. An older woman, too, got real nasty. I ignored her. I didn't say nothing. I ignored her. Then she said, she walked a little bit and turned back around and said it. And I said, ma'am, I am sorry, but I did move the carriage. She kept cussing, swearing every word in the book, walking around the corner. Even some of the employees started looking at her. This was in Walmart. So she came back around. And she started again, and then the two employees came over, and she started yelling again, well, you had no business having your carriage there, and blah, blah. I'm going to be honest with you, the carriage wasn't where it wasn't supposed to be. Y'all know how it is when you go down the aisle with a carriage. You're going to be blocking something, but if you see that, you move that. Honey, I said, let me tell you something. You are an older woman. I'm grown. We don't have to do this. So I'm asking you nicely, don't come over here no more. That's all I said to her, and I went the other way. But see, if she would have caught me out of pocket from back in the days when I didn't have a lot of respect for what comes out my mouth, because the tongue is the hardest muscle to tame, I would have shut her down. I would have met her where she was at, which was in the gutter, and who wants to be in the gutter? But I shut it down because I could see that she didn't know how to behave herself, and she was older than me. And it wasn't just, well, she got a couple of gray hairs, so she got to be about 50-something. Because I have a family member with a son that, had gray hair his whole life. From when he was a little child, he had gray hair. And I told her that. But see, if it was another time, I would have been like, who you talking, all that mess, which was a mess. And then sometimes, though, y'all, and I really mean this, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, sometimes you got to set people straight. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. Sometimes you have to, sometimes I done just broke out and started praying for them, and they get mad, especially if they're not believers, or you saying that and it make them feel guilty. Sometimes you got to just shut it down, and sometimes you got to ignore them, and sometimes you got to touch their circumstances. I don't mean putting your hands on nobody physically. You have to say, well, what's going on here? I'm not going to let you just keep pushing up. But see, you don't stay in something that's starting to become a problem. But at the same time, you can say a few words and you can leave off. And I've learned to do that. But I also have a little cockiness in me at times, which needs to be humbled. And and I'm a type of person anyway that I'm cool with everybody. I always like to laugh, skin and grin and have fun like that. So when somebody step out of pocket, most of the time with me, I've always felt that it was me. I'm the bad person. And they only talking like that because I'm no good. And I realized it wasn't that. It was them. So then I got to a point where I said, well, you know what? I'm going to start standing up for myself. The next time somebody say something to me, I'm about to shut them down. And I started doing it. And I'm going to be honest with you. It did work. It did work, and I'm not talking about a whole bunch of you MF and who, not like that. But get out, don't come over here with that. You got the wrong one, like saying stuff like that. And I'm gonna be honest. Some cases you have to. Some cases you have to, and I don't believe that the customer's always right when you're in the store. I don't care, store, the bank, Walmart, Salvation Army. I don't care where you at. The customer's not always right because folks will use that for an excuse to disrespect you and to come for you. And when you start having somebody disgruntled like that, you have to watch yourself too. That's why it's not good to get caught up like that. The person can pull out a knife and you end up losing your eye the rest of your life just because you said you got to stand back up to them. And then some people, you can say something back to defend yourself, but you keep your distance and watch what you're doing. And see, when I have something like that, when somebody kind of approach me like that, I just go on to get away from it and mind my business. But I watch myself and I get up out of there because you don't know what they're going through personally. But I seen that somebody's trash can was out in the street, so I pulled my car over. I got out and I put the trash can on the curb for them because it was in the middle of the street, and they cussed me out for that. So why would I argue back at them when I can see that they don't even appreciate nobody doing nothing for them, and they wanted it to lay down there? But I could have started, I tried to help you. It wasn't about that. That person's going through something. I just, I keep you in my prayers type of thing and keep it moving. I had another situation with a young girl. And she was, I kept wondering why the traffic was stopping so much. And by the time I got up to see what was going on, it was a little girl. She looked like she was anywhere from 4 to 5. And she kept riding her bike, in and out of the street. So when I got, near her, I'm a stranger. So, of course, you don't approach kids. But I said, sweetheart, you better watch yourself or you don't get hit by a car. That's all I said. I didn't stop to give her no creepy feelings because you got to watch how you deal with kids. So by the time I got up to where she ended up going, there was some people on the porch. So I said, you guys, the little girl could almost got hit by a car. Do you know that they cussed me out? They cussed me out for telling them that I was able to tell her to, be careful and get out the street. This is my daughter. Mind your business. Just ain't up there. Honey, I looked at them and I said, y'all have a good one. It didn't even upset me because I know where I'm at. I know what was going on and they need prayer. And I feel sorry for that child because she may become a product of her environment because of the fact that that's how they roll and that's how they living. So they basically, they didn't teach her nothing and they weren't watching her because actually she's a minor. So they should have been taking care of her. But I realized that they're somewhere different than I am. I'm not better than them. I'm just in a different era in my life. And I looked at that for what it was worth. And I said, you know what? Just go on and mind your business and send a prayer for them and keep it moving. And, and you sit back and think. And at other times I might have got a little upset. And sometimes I might have been a fool too and argue back with them and all that. It's not even worth, none of it's worth it. I want to go to heaven. And anything that I do here wrong, God is forgiven, but it doesn't mean that I could keep sinning. Do you understand what I'm saying? You have to pick it up and get yourself together. And I don't want nobody, not even kids, family, co-workers, nobody to stop me from meeting the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. I am going to make it to heaven. I am declaring it. I'm claiming I'm the one. And it makes me sick when people be saying, I'm God's chosen one. No, we all are. He loves us all the same. And you could be, I don't care, out there selling drugs in a strip club. God will meet you where you at and bring you up. And this is what I keep saying to folks. You look at this, you go, just say you go to church. You got the pastor, his wife, other people in the choir, the congregation, and you're looking at them thinking that they really are they really are serving God. And you want to think the best of people, and you don't assume or like to judge people. And you're looking at, Miss Margaret, she's at the church bake sale. She's always helping people out, giving people rides, and she's definitely going to heaven. And then you got, I'll just say Michael or Sally that has murdered somebody, and they're in prison doing a life term. And you figure they going, where, and she's going to heaven. And actually, it's the other way around because she's been pretending but you don't know what she's doing in secret. And then that person in jail has really truly been forgiven for what they did. Moses, and y'all know Moses in the Bible, Moses killed someone. Moses wasn't perfect. Moses had a stuttering problem. People think that when God gathered the 12 disciples, Jesus gathered the 12 disciples, that they were all people that was just Christians. No, he had prostitutes. Let's keep it real. He's had murderers, killers, frauds. He traveled with this team for a reason. Why would he pick a manger to be born? And why would they put him in a manger? King of Kings, Lord of Lords. Come on, you got to look at the Israelites, the Egyptians. All of that story tells you the truth about the reality. God will meet you where you're at. It's not about the wealth. Because if it was all about that, we all would be wealthy, because that's what God wants for us. But this is not the promised land due to the sins of other people. And I don't want to start preaching and seem like I'm trying to go off in a tangent. This is just stuff that I'm learning, and I'm excited about it, and I like to share it. But it is the truth. Why would you be born in a manger? What's going on? Why would that have happened? That's because it's to show us he will meet you where you at. And he's not going to love you no more today or tomorrow. It's always, his love is always the same. It's just up to us to receive it and to accept it. So with that being said, I'm going to get ready. And like I said, I didn't have a chance to really respond because I don't know what I'm doing here. I got a family member. They set up the iPhone for me, and they set up the computer. And I'm so excited and I'm nervous at the same time that I can't even get over to try to answer you guys' questions and say what I need to say. But I tell you one thing. I have met some, and I'm going to start getting emotional because that's how I am. I'm a lover, but I'm going to tell you I'm tough as a rock at the same time, but in a soft way. I have met some of the best people that I could never imagine meeting in my life on YouTube. And I have traveled to places. I done been to Minnesota, Jamaica. I can name a whole lot of places and live the actual lifestyle. But YouTube has brought me to meet so many different people, different lifestyles, different hobbies, and it has been a wonderful experience for me. The only thing that I feel bad about is because I cannot come, in person the way I like to. And like I said before, I am not a victim, I'm a victor. But until I get all of these things straightened out, I don't want to put myself or my family in jeopardy. Even where I live now, nobody knows me other than like a few neighbors that see your face, but they don't know me personally. But I got a few older folks that I go back to. And then these neighbors here, even though they don't know me well, I speak, how you doing, take care, God bless you. And I put a care package on their porch and keep it moving. And it's not that I don't want to engage, it's just that I have to lay low. And I'm okay with that because I'm still living my life. I'm breathing, I'm eating. I got you guys, and I'm claiming my victory. But please believe and trust that I am going to be finding a way. And even if I don't, you guys, y'all try to feel me, because it's not about a game. This is reality. I've shared stuff with you guys that I haven't told a lot of people that I am close to, because it's just their ears weren't right for it. And then you guys, we all are strangers to a certain extent, but not really, because if I'm purple, you green, this person yellow, but we all believe in God and we say that God is our Father. What you understand where I'm coming from. So with that being said, I'm gonna keep working this so that I can multitask, because I am a multitasker, honey. Sometimes I got to be like an octopus, but I just don't got it together well enough right now to, to try to talk here, because I'm nervous too. And sometimes, you know what, you got to do it scared. You got to do it when you're nervous. But this is just like a test run for me. But I'm going to get to where I can drop stuff in the comments, because I'm going to tell you honestly, I don't want to call myself illiterate, because I try not to say negative things. And when we do say like negative things about ourselves, like, oh, I'm dumb, we say it in a joking way, but we decide to replace it with something positive, like, and say, oh, girl, guess what I did today? Or, oh, God, guess what happened today? Yes, I was so silly and said, oh, I'm dumb. I'm not with it. I'm not. But I'm going to be honest. I'm not good with the computer stuff at all. When I make my videos, I promise you, I got my iPhone and I put it on a tripod and I'm a straight shooter. But that's pretty much how I am in real life anyway. But I just would rather be physically on camera, but I just keep it real. I just live my life. Even with me, I had started doing this YouTube, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, some long years ago before now, and I've been back on it for a while. And I had a business opportunity, and what I was doing is, which I'm going to start back doing, like reviewing Look, the rich and famous, the reality shows and all that. And I'm going to tell you, I had to use some horrible talking. I mean, very bad stuff, because this is what I was going to be paid to do, not just by the person that wanted to incorporate me to do business, but to get monetized and do all that kind of stuff. And honey, let me tell y'all, I did one video about love and hip hop, and I promise you, when I put that video up, I say, I don't even know how to explain it. I say probably within about 10 minutes, I had 1,000 views. Bam! It's because of they gravitate more towards negativity. Now, what I decided I was going to do if I start back doing it, I'm going to say what I need to say, be truthful as I was then, but not use that type of foul language. But the folks love that. And I even had somebody that reached out to me that wanted me to support them, and I decided that I would support, even if there's some certain stuff that that I don't understand and know about. I'm gonna do it anyway. But this person had a channel on that and I'm not. Please understand me, really. I'm not into judging anybody, but it was in a sexual content, very very disrespectful stuff that I didn't want to hear, and I knew that I couldn't do that. So I tried to figure out a way, but I didn't want to support anything negative, and then not support them because I didn't want to feel like I was judging this person. But it got really, really, really seedy and dark and cold. And I just kind of just kind of let it woosah, because I don't like to judge people for who they are and how they want to live. Because I know y'all see all this out here on YouTube, and everything ain't for everybody. But this one here was talking about some stuff that I ain't never even heard of. And I'm a grown woman, and I done work different type of job description. I'm grown, and I know, what the world consists of, but I couldn't do it. So what I try to do is, even if there's stuff that I never been into and somebody subscribes to me, I still support them and try to understand. And I have learned some great things by stuff that I didn't even pay attention to. I got some new people that they're doing something with collecting, different types of cards, baseball player cards and stuff. And as I looked at the video, I realized that I used to do that when I was younger. Even when I was younger, we used to play a game called I Declare War, Pity Pat, all them kind of games. Somebody does cards. And I didn't realize how much a connection I had with them, and it brought back memories. And now I'm like, well, what did you get this week? When I go to their channel. But I want you guys to know that I am trying to share myself with you guys, because I love everybody. I appreciate your time. I enjoy your content as well, but please give me a chance, because I'm trying my best. And what I noticed, and this is no disrespect, I'm gonna just keep it real like I try to do most of the time anyway. Sometimes you can keep it real, but you gotta watch what you say and who you say it to. Folks will be quick to subscribe to you, but do they really ride with you? And that's the problem. And that happens a lot with people with these marriages and couples and stuff. People get caught up in the fun, as they say, the honeymoon stage, even though some people ain't married or didn't get married. And then before you know it, it's over, because you did not get down to the nitty gritty. You only enjoyed the fun thing. Like, oh, when we go out on a date, he holds the door. Yeah, that's something nice. I hold the door for a man as well, too. I'm the type, too, that I know how to be treated like a lady, but at the same time, I can go Dutch with a man. I can hold the door for a man. And like I said, I can get out here, I do trash, I can do an oil change, and then be pretty in pink when I want to. And it just goes like that. But what people don't understand, what builds the foundation of a relationship, is the rocky roads and the hard times. And what does that mean? That means to me, and maybe everybody got different point of views, is, does this person, now that y'all past that, now y'all done moved in together, this person don't like to keep a clean house. This person don't like to keep a job. This person don't like to pay bill. This person is a hitter. This person is a cheater. So what does that mean? Because you base everything on fun. Those times right there are the times that's going to get you through. And how long do you stay with somebody when they're not doing what they're supposed to do, and you've given them every chance? Because a lot of people, like with the Bible and stuff, they don't believe in divorces and second marriages, but you have to do what you know that's right for you. And like I said before, sometimes you can't turn to other people, you got to turn to God. Read the book, learn, feel how you feel, look at stuff. And I noticed that a lot of relationships crumble because they want to keep it like the first date all the time, or the first month together. But then when it got down, when the kids is being born, and then once again, too, folks be quick to say, oh, is you going to be the kids' godparents? Did y'all go to church for real together and do the Christianing? Or y'all just calling it that because y'all homegirls? And now when it comes down to the nitty gritty, well, what's the nitty gritty? You said you want to be the child's godmother. Do you know the definition of godparent? I come and tell you that I got 6 months to live. I need you to take my daughter or my son and raise them. Are you going to be able to do that? Or you say, oh, well, so-and-so need a refrigerator or they need a stove. I'll pray on it for them. Well, why? Why can't you get together with a couple of people and y'all pitch in together and help this person get a refrigerator? See, people don't look at stuff like that. They just look at the fast, quick, easy way. It don't go like that. It's the hard times is what makes it hold together. But at the same time, what does them hard times supposed to be? And how far do you go with a zero? And I mean that literally. How far do you go? And this is not just with husband and wife. Your best friend. One of your own kids. What do you do? Because you fund the lifestyle for people, then they don't have to do anything. And as they always say, and this is for men and women both, why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free? And that's a problem. And then this guy was just saying on the video, yeah, I believe that all men cheat. Yeah, we just got it in us. Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't believe that, and I'm not telling nobody what to believe, but I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I think it's a person's choices that they decide to make. But if you want something substantial, you have to sit down and get down to the nitty gritty, the hard times. Even when I had a friend back before I even, became a parent or anything, she had 2 kids and I raised them kids more than she did. And I'm not judging her. It's just that she wasn't ready and we both helped each other out. But see, that shows you like, well, damn, well, you're going to run off because you got to help her out. No, it all came together. But that's the problem. Folks are looking for the fast, the quick and easy, when you got to put down a solid foundation. If you don't do that, you don't build on nothing. I mean, what is your blueprint? What is your structure? You're not going to build a house on sand, are you? You understand? I mean, we need some dirt. You know what I'm saying? I remember when we were little, we used to run to the house because it was so high up and it was dirt under there. You know what I'm saying? But that's not what I mean. The whole house is not just going to sit right there. And a lot of people don't understand that you have to put something in something if you want something. And life is a give and take. And, one hand washes the other, both wash the face. So what are we here for? We're here to love one another and wish everybody the best. And we know that it's hard to do that because some people, well, what do you do with people that are difficult to love? You got to try to meet them where they're at, but you can't let what they're doing wrong or how they come off destroy you. Because, see, I've already been there. I've already planned out my life of how I was growing up, that this is all it's going to be for me. And, God had a different plan for me, but I did not understand that. And a lot of people think it's so weird when I say that. Even with me, I got a lot of doctors that I deal with because of my medical issues. And every one of them that happened before I even put them together to discuss my medical plans, they all said, you need to write a book. And all of us have beautiful and unique stories, even with bad stuff. With me, what I had started doing way back when I was a little girl, I don't know how I was capable of that ability, but I always found something good in something bad. And I know that probably sounds kind of weird, but it happened. Even there was a time that I went out with some friends. They were a lot older than me, and they took me to a college dorm room, and I ended up somehow in a room alone with the guy, and he tried to assault me. And what did I learn from that made it good is that I was smarter, that I could tell somebody not to be in a situation like that again. It wasn't all about he was choking me only, and that was horrible. But what did I learn from it that I could keep going and moving forward and not allowing it to make me mentally ill or to stagnate my growth and to keep me from prospering? And what can I do with this to help somebody else out? And also people that do stuff like that, a lot of people some people I feel in a way that they always say that a sociopath is made and a psychopath is born. And I know that we all have choices, but people don't understand the psychological, once again, psychopathy. That's a chemical imbalance. And a lot of people are messed up in the head where they're missing certain components to feel, to think, to act. So you got to try to figure out, how people try to, I plead insanity. And they know that there ain't nothing wrong with them, but now they want to start acting like they're talking to the wall or the ceiling, but they've been stalking and running this person down. But there's something, I just feel that God don't make junk. You know what I mean? And I feel like some people, they got to have something, or you want to think that. And once again, once you start seeing that, because I done been through stuff where I was in domestic situations back when I was younger, and rolling with the crowd because I rolling with them because that's what they was with. Everybody had boyfriends that was hitting on them like that was okay, and then you seen it at home, so it's like, well, okay, this is all we can get. This is all we can do. And once I started powering up, because for some reason, as I came through life, even from when I was younger, I always had a part of me that could go with the guys and that could go with the girls. But I am a heterosexual person. But I'm just saying, I could understand guys and females would get mad at me because of it. Well, why are you? Them as guys, for a man to do that. But I keep trying to explain. No, I understand where they're coming from. Maybe we're a little bit too more sensitive. You didn't have to cry over that because he didn't bring you roses. You wanted roses, but he ran you a bath and made you a dinner. That's how his thinking is, and I get it. You got something, and they're looking at me like, oh, you too hard. You ain't. It ain't that. It's just the reality of understanding. And when me and my brother was coming up, we used to have to get together because once again, there wasn't a lot of supervision. You're not supposed to be walking. Well, some people can, maybe back in days, time, age, reasons, mama work and stuff like that. But I feel like if you got a mother at home and you got a child that's walking to kindergarten, past bars and all that, you would want to be there or figure out something. I'm not judging nobody because I know we got a lot of latchkey kids. And back in the days, people say I used to be able to leave my car door and my door's unlocked. I'm not judging anybody. I'm just trying to explain what I've experienced in my life. And it's been a lot of stuff that, I know that it's taught me something, and everything bad. Even when I was diagnosed to die, if I didn't get a certain treatment, I had to be able to smile at the same time I cried and hurt inside, because if I didn't, how do I believe in God if I have no hope and faith? And what if I just still end up dying after the treatment? I have hope and faith because God got a plan for me. Once I started learning that, and it's not easy just to do that. You have to meditate. You have to understand. You have to want to be in the Word and believe there is good. And that's not, it's not easy because a lot of times we are victim of our circumstances. A lot of people act out on something that's happened to them, and I know there's some people that can't recover. I got a neighbor that had a neighbor that had a little girl that was I think she was like 6 years old. She didn't say anything about mental health in the family or anything like that. And any abuse in her relationship with the father and all that. But the little girl, I think it was her cat that died, and she stopped eating. She ended up having to be, putting on a feeding tube and everything. From that experience with her cat dying, it just affected her so bad emotionally that she just fell out of life. I mean, they couldn't do nothing with her. She had to be hospitalized. And then, I seen her, a few times over the years, and she's way out. She's, looks like, no disrespect to her, very thin and out here in the streets because the mother didn't do what, follow through with her getting therapy and getting the help that she needs, but she didn't start off that way. That's why I said you never know what could happen. And the mind, oh my gosh, and we all know our mind does play tricks on us. You don't have to have, oh, he bipolar, oh, she's schizophrenic, oh, that's why. No. People without any diagnosis and ain't on no type of drugs or anything, your mind may play tricks on you. Just like I'm sitting here, and there's a few times it seemed like something, might have went by, but it's not that. It's just the way I turned my head or the glare from the computer. And, we do know that the mind play tricks, so you have to know the difference between that and what's going on. But you got to follow up with what kind of help you need and run into drugs and stuff. But see, people don't understand that either about when it comes to drugs. People don't understand that a lot of times when you see somebody that may be smoking crack, crystal meth, or drinking, if you go into mental health medication, Neurontin and all those type of things, the alcohol and the drugs hit the same receptors. That's why they think they're doing okay, but they weren't doing it to necessarily get addicted or to have a drug problem. It helped numb that stuff, and that's why they try to find medication that can do it. And then nowadays, the medication will mess you up more because you don't notice how they say, well, this will help you out and lower your cholesterol, but yet you might have your right eye might start blinking. You may be blind sometime in your left eye. You don't know what the heck going to happen with all this. And I don't mean to make this silly, but I try to make, things that are hard and scary, a little bit of fun in it so that it won't just mess you up mentally. But it's hard, but people don't understand those drugs and stuff do hit certain receptor, because a lot of times people don't realize it's a psychological chemical imbalance that brings you to that definition of, well, this is what they diagnose. Also, with a lot of young kids, people don't pay attention to, well, Mike has started school, he started kindergarten for the first time, and they said that he's hopping around and acting up and stuff. Then you bring him somewhere, they're quick to say he got ADHD, they start pumping the medication, when in fact, you ain't cooking the right food, the child ain't being nurtured. It could be just being a product of their environment. You're not feeding them right. You're not there for them. There's abuse in the house, or what you allow them to watch on TV emulates a psychological disability that's not even there. And then they're taking medicine for something that could be changed if you get tuned in properly. And then I believe a lot of kids and people in general do have problems, and they need the medication to be able to be stabilized. And you have to deal with the side effects, because what do we have out here that we can take that may not have, that may, you can say, oh, well, this don't have a side effect. Everything does. Everything does. You can just take a simple Tylenol. And even with addiction to drugs and stuff, you could be the type of person that, because folks always say, well, we got diabetes in my family. We got high blood pressure in my family. But they never say, we got alcoholism gene. A lot of that stuff is in the bloodline too, but a lot of people don't pay attention to it. So you're going out for the first time, hanging out with friends, and you have that one drink of beer, and because it's in you, that may have started a problem for you when it was supposed to be just a fun, even though you may not even been grown and need to be drinking, or grown drinking for the first time, 21. To me, that's not even grown, because like I said, it takes time for the frontal lobe and for your development to come in mentally. People don't understand that. That's why when we're younger, we think we know everything, because we're ahead of the game. But anyway, you guys, I done talked it, and I said before I was going to cut out, and I didn't do, but I'm going to go this time. And like I said, I'm going to keep popping up like this here and there if you guys don't mind. And I'm just going to keep it real, because I'm going to be honest with you. I'm just straight shooting how I talk. And, I meet people all the time, and we always say, when I'm out, I always say, this is church right here. Because a lot of people think you got to dress a certain way, you got to act a certain way, and you got to be at this big old grandiose church to be able to hear from God, to speak to God, to pray. And I done ran into women. One day we was in the store, and look, Walmart, and we were over in the aisle talking about God for about a half hour. That was a church service right there, and I learned so much, and I felt just as good as if I went to church. But anyway, you guys, once again, I'm finna leave for real this time. I promise you, I am real, I'm here, I care. And I have met, I don't even know how to explain this, because I don't want to call out one name and not call out nobody else's, because I got to remember everybody. I need to really sit down and write down the names so I can say thank you to Pacific people, but I don't want to say just one or three people, because you know how it be when they say sometimes when you're in church, and the pastor shakes somebody's hand, but then shake your hand, you feel away. And I'm not saying that everybody's like that. And if you do feel away, sometimes that's understandable, because you feel like, well, dad, they didn't say me, and you listening for your name, and when people doing shout out. So I don't hold nothing to it. I'll be glad for the person that got the shout out, and maybe they'll do me next time. Maybe they don't remember, but I know that it's okay. But I'm going to get out of here. I just like to say, please, whatever you do, live your best life. And always treat people well. You'll know who not to mess with and who you need to stay away from. And don't let your kids run you in the ground to where you can't even see straight. Even with us too, I notice, and look at here, I go again. With our parents, when they get older, they get kind of manipulative. You ever notice that everything goes kind of revert back? Some folks lose all their teeth. It's like how we started off as kids. You got to be taught something. And sometimes our parents will play us like fools too, and it look like a fiddle. But anyway, I'm going, and God bless everybody, and I appreciate all y'all more than I can even say. I've been in and out holding back tears and trying to chill back. I'm going to go, and I thank you guys so much for everything. Be blessed. All right. Y'all thought y'all was getting rid of me that quick? No, I'm back. Now what's up? What's up? Anybody got any Halloween candy left over? What's going on? No, sir. Bye-bye.